the brave girl, and her dragon. In a forgotten corner of the world, where the hills kissed the sky and the forest whispered secrets older than time, lived a girl named Leah. She was 16, with tangled brown hair and eyes that sparkled like the river under moonlight. Her family was poor, their tiny hut barely holding against the wind, but Leah's heart was rich with dreams. She spent her days wandering the forest, collecting berries and firewood, singing to the birds, and imagining a life beyond the village's muddy paths. One autumn morning, as golden leaves drifted around her, Leah ventured deeper into the forest than she ever had before. The air felt different, thicker, alive with a hum she couldn't place. Beneath an ancient oak, its roots twisting like the hands of a giant, she found a strange egg. It was the size of a melon, its shell shimmering with colors that danced between sapphire, emerald, and ruby. It was warm, almost pulsing, as if it held a heartbeat. Leah's breath caught. She knew the stories. Dragons, creatures of fire and myth, long vanished from the world. Yet here was this egg, glowing softly in her hands. She wrapped it in her shawl and hurried home, her heart racing with equal parts fear and wonder. That night, by the flickering light of her single candle, the egg began to tremble. Cracks spiderwebbed across its surface, and Leah froze, clutching her worn blanket. With a soft pop, the shell split, and out tumbled a creature no bigger than a kitten. Its scales gleamed like polished jade, its wings were fragile as gossamer, and its eyes, huge, amber, and curious, locked onto hers. Leah's first instinct was to run. Dragons were dangerous, weren't they? But the creature wobbled toward her, tripped over its own tail, and let out a pitiful squeak. Leah laughed despite herself, and when it nuzzled her hand, warm and soft, her fear melted. She named him Ember. For the tiny spark of flame he coughed up when he sneezed. Days turned to weeks, and Leah and Ember became inseparable. She shared her sparse meals, bread crusts, wild apples, and he slept curled at her feet, his warmth better than any fire. Ember grew fast, his wings stretching, his flames growing steadier. Leah taught him to aim his fire at sticks, not her hut, and he taught her to see the world from the sky, carrying her on short, wobbly flights over the treetops. The villagers, at first wary of the dragon, softened when they saw Ember fetch water in a bucket or light their hearths with a gentle puff. Leah, once just the poor girl who mended clothes for coppers, became the girl with a dragon, whispered about with awe. But peace was fragile. Far to the north, in a castle of black stone, King Zorak ruled with a heart as cold as iron. He was no ordinary king. He wielded dark magic, stolen from ancient tomes, that twisted the air and bent minds to his will. His soldiers, cloaked in shadow, spread fear like a plague, and his eyes had turned to Leah's village, a place too small to resist but rich in land he craved. One stormy evening, his army arrived, their boots shaking the earth. Dark fire erupted from their hands, unnatural flames that devoured homes and refused to die. Zorak himself stood in the village square, his amulet, a blood-red gem pulsing with power, casting an eerie glow. "Bow to me," he thundered, "or burn." Leah and Ember, hidden in the forest, watched the chaos unfold. The village was her home, its people her family. She thought of old Mara, who gave her apples, and little Teo, who'd giggle when Ember sneezed sparks. "We have to stop him," Leah whispered, her voice trembling but firm. Ember's eyes blazed, and he let out a low growl, his wings flaring. They spent the night planning, Leah's mind racing, Ember's tail twitching with resolve. At dawn, as Zorak prepared to crush the last of the village's resistance, Leah stepped into the square. The villagers gasped. She was just a girl, small and unarmed, her dress patched and muddy. Zorak sneered, his amulet flaring. "A child dares face me?" he mocked, raising a hand to unleash a wave of dark fire. But then the sky roared, and Ember dove from the clouds, now the size of a horse, his scales glinting like a storm of emeralds. He met Zorak's fire with a torrent of his own, bright and pure, shielding Leah and the villagers. The battle was fierce. Zorak's magic lashed out, shadow tendrils snapping like whips, but Ember was swift, weaving through the air. Leah, dodging bolts of dark energy, noticed the amulet around Zorak's neck. Its glow pulsed with every spell he cast. "That's his power," she whispered. She climbed onto Ember's back, her heart pounding as they soared above the chaos. Zorak laughed, hurling a spear of shadow, but Ember spun, dodging it by inches. Leah leaned forward, her fingers brushing the amulet. With a desperate lunge, she grabbed it, yanking it free. The gem shattered in her hand, and Zorak's magic faltered, his dark fire flickering out. Furious, Zorak lunged at Leah, but Ember was faster. With a mighty roar, he unleashed a blaze that drove the king back. Zorak's soldiers, seeing their master weakened, fled into the forest. Zorak, his power broken, stumbled after them, cursing Leah's name. The village was saved, its home scorched but standing, its people alive. The villagers crowded around Leah and Ember, their cheers echoing through the hills. Old Mara hugged Leah tight, and Teo climbed onto Ember's back, giggling as the dragon snorted playfully. Leah, breathless and smiling, stroked Ember's snout. "We did it," she said, her voice soft but proud. From that day, the village thrived under Leah and Ember's protection. The girl who once had nothing now had a dragon, a home, and a legend that would be told for generations. A tale of courage, friendship, and a fire that burned brighter than any darkness.